Hi, my name is Bo Tet. This is my first video, so be kind and patient, please. Anyway, I have a lot of curiosity, imagination, ideas, and one thing that I think is worth sharing is my curiosity with how things got started. One of my biggest curious question is, for instance, how did Adam and Eve got started with sex? You know, nobody told them anything. They were the first people, so obviously nobody could give them any instructions or any guidelines. So they just have to really basically find out for themselves, okay? So here's what I think happened, okay? Well, they're walking around in the Garden of Eden where they have everything they need. So it's a pleasant weather, everything was nice. So one day she bumped into his private part, and then he said, "Wow, Eve, that felt good for some reason." And then she said, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Can you do that again? You have to understand, they have no inhibitions. To them, being naked is natural. For us, now of course it's different, but then it was natural." So she did it again, and come to find out that not just bumping into it, but touching it even feels better. So she said, "Well, what about me? How can I feel good like you do?" So they investigated, and he checked on the area that equivalent to where his area was. So he said, "Wow, you don't have what I have. Yours is different. Yours actually has a hole in it." And then she said, "Well, why don't you touch it?" So he did, and she said, "Yes, that feels good." So they discovered that by touching each other, they both feel good. But however, it didn't feel the same if they're touching by themselves. So every time they feel like it, so they would touch each other. But then again, my curiosity continued and said, "Well, how did they go from there? From there to sex? Obviously they did it, otherwise we wouldn't be here, right?" So here's what I think happened. So while he was touching her, actually she was touching him, she got tired, so she started to hang on to it, hold it this way. And he said, "That's even better feeling." So she was doing that and all that, and then she said, "Well, what about me? I don't have anything like that for you to touch and hold this way." So they really investigated that prospect. They really tried to figure it out, and they thought, well, obviously, if it feels good for you in the area, then there has to be something too that would be equivalent to us. Well, they discovered that they were not dumb. So they figured out that by touching it all around like this, which is to Adam feels much better, they thought that maybe if the whole would be the equivalent of touching it like that. So that's how they got started with intercourse, okay? So they were doing it quite often. Obviously they liked it. And then all of a sudden, he was like, "What is going on? I feel so good. Something is happening, And she did the same thing. She said, me too. I'm feeling so good. I've never felt this way before. So they continued, and all of a sudden, it was just bam, you know. It was like an explosion of feelings, and they love it so much. But then they discovered that it did not last long. So they figured it out that the more they do it, that somehow it gets to a point and it would just be like a compilation of all those feelings and multiplied it by a million times, but it will be short. It'll be bam, and that was it. So they kept doing it, and finally they both got really tired to the point where they just can't do anything anymore. Like, this doesn't feel good, you know. So they said, well, maybe we're just too tired. So, they rested, and then when they woke up, they had the feeling again. So that's how they discovered that you perform this thing that made them feel so good, and then they would rest and do it all over again. So needless to say, that's how we are all here. So that's what I think happened. I'm sure I'm not the only one who wondered how things got started, right? They were the very first two people in the world. And knowing that they were the very first, they have to figure out, otherwise we would have known that there were some kind of instructions. But it had to be, everything was first. So I think that's how it got started. What do you think? So anyway, I hope you like this story. I hope you like my curious mind going to areas maybe not many people thought of. And if you like it, and if you want to hear more, click on Be My Friend on this website, and you'll be notified on my next video. I planned on making videos on a regular basis. I don't know the frequency of it. I don't know every so often. I don't know how long, but I do plan on that. Depending on how I am received by you, or maybe I'm just a weirdo, I'm the only one. But let me tell you, I have a lot of curious ideas of how things happen, and if you like it, click on Be My Friend and you will find out more. One thing that I think a lot of us would wonder, I hope, for instance, how did President Clinton and Monica Lewinsky got started? Think about it. He was the president. She was an intern. How did they all got to the point understanding he wants it, she wants it? So, if you like to hear what I think happened, come back here, click on Be My Friend, and you'll be the first to know. For now, I hope you enjoy it. Bye-bye.